Hey guys, welcome today as we look at King Solomon's words to us, the Old Testament book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, in the first 8 verses. And he tells us this: there is an occasion for everything, and a time for every activity under heaven, a time to give birth and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to avoid embracing, a time to search and a time to count as lost, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. These first 8 verses of this chapter 3 of Ecclesiastes gives us a description really of the cycle of life. And in a very cynical way, someone once said that these 8 verses contain 28 statements, 14 pluses and 14 minuses that add up really to nothing at all. And when you look at it from this perspective, it really represents a struggle of someone doing their best to keep from being pessimistic, and yet trying to make sense of the cycle of nature in our lives in this world. We know that there's a time to be born and a time to die, and we know that from the very moment that we are born, we begin that process. We begin to die. We were not in control of our arrival, and we will not be in control of our departure. And see, that's part of the problem, because the human nature in us likes to be in control. And so in between these two fixed points, then we have a choice. We can sow and we can gather and we can rake leaves, and even in doing these activities, we really have no control we really have no control over when we do them. The plants, they grow in the springtime. The summer sustains them with the rain that comes, with the sun, very strong sun there. And in autumn, then we gather the sheaves, as the old hymn says, and we watch the leaves fall. That's the cycle. That's in our hands. That's in our hands and yet out of our hands, because we have no control over it. So the ultimate problem for us, as we look at this, then the ultimate problem for us is that we live in an unending cycle, and it continues throughout our lives, and it will continue long after we're gone until Jesus returns. And when this reality then dawns on us, we're confronted with our um, our destiny, really, our life cycle, and we become aware that our lives are, when we compare to the overall thought of God's nature and infinity and us living forever, our lives really are tremendously insignificant when we think about that, when we think about the grand scheme of things. So how do we respond? Well, one way to respond then, I think, when we look at these verses from Solomon, is we can respond with noise and activity. We see that around us every day. We People who do that really don't want to face the truth about their lives. They think, so many of them think, that this life is all there is and they've got to fight for every minute of it. They don't want to face the tyranny of the cycle of life, and to confront its end. They want to distract. But then you have the godly and much more fulfilling response: to live knowing that the God who made you knows exactly where you are, who you are, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how you are trying to make sense yourself as this life is presented to you. And along with that, then, your life. My life is an open book to God, and it's His grace alone that yields it to you, and the realization that I am not in charge and you're not in charge, but also that I don't need to be and you don't need to be, because we know that He is. Your significance and mine, and your security and mine do not come from our ability to control our life. Whatever you do, the seasons are going to pass, and one day, so will I, and you. What we need to do is to concentrate on the the day that God gives us, do the very best that we can with it, live in an optimistic way and not a pessimistic way, find true peace by knowing and loving the one who rules over all of history, our Creator God. And whatever remains then of today, allow yourself to enjoy all that God in His wonderful and absolute sovereignty brings into your life. Seek to obey Him in all of these things and rest easy in the one who orders every season for your good and for His glory. Thank you so much for your time today. God bless you. We'll look forward to seeing one another one more day this week, and even more if God directs. Remember, God loves you, and so do I.